Hey, everybody. It is come. It is the time. We are excited. Listen, guys, this has been a subject that we have been looking at for a long, long time. And one of my biggest frustrations in and around this subject is I always wonder, why is there not more research? Why is there not more data? If only with somebody would come around with these devices, these frequency medicine, quantum technology, which we all know exists. We all know is out there. We all know is making these changes, but no one's taking the time, energy, money to put it together. And yes, finally, there is a guy and his team who have been working behind the scenes, in front of the scenes, around the world. We just got him to sit down for a short period of time right now. I think he's in Frankfurt, Germany. Philipp von Holtzendorff-Fehling, my friend, Leela Quantum Tech. It has taken the Cohn Health Institute by storm. It is taking the biohacking world by storm. Whether you may have seen this technology featured in things you would never think it would be featured in. Time Magazine, Fox Business, Forbes, all over the biohackers world, now all over the biostackers world, which puts biohacking together in a useful form so people can experience it. But Leela Quantum Tech, first we want to do is take some time and talk about this amazing technology. Now, you may have been anywhere and seen somebody wearing one of these things. I think everyone in our office is now wearing one of those, every single staff member. I find that my coffee is on this coaster. There's nothing that everyone's got something going in this block. In such a short period of time, the patients, when they come to our office, want to put their phone in there, pictures of their loved ones. To some of you, this might sound crazy. To others, they're like, oh, what a breath of fresh air. 60 studies, research products, 40 placebo-controlled studies and research projects, 7 ongoing studies. Philip, how do you do it?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me, and thanks for the introduction. I'm really looking forward to it.
Well, I don't even know where to start. I'm going to ask you, so Leela Quantum Tech, I mean, some people, their interface is putting a collar on their dog and their dog's not limping anymore, or wearing this Heal 360 pendant, or maybe something that we may or may not have time to get into, which is the quantum upgrade. Talk to us a little bit. We're going to talk more in our one-on-one interview where we see the story of how we all got here. But in this section, we want to really deep dive in the products. So where does somebody start? I have sent I can't even count the amount of people to the website, and there's a lot of ways to play. Talk to us a little about the technology, what it can do, where you're seeing it, and where would you advise someone how do they start?
Yeah, so we developed the technology that can imprint pure natural quantum energy into any object. And with that, it can be leveraged also for any physiological organism, whether that's a plant, an animal, us humans, it doesn't matter. If it's alive, it has a benefit from it. And then we can combine it with specific frequencies. So we have something with quantum energy that we can infuse with it. We use it sort of like a carrier wave, and then we can add on any frequency that exists. And we develop specific frequencies for specific use cases also. And that's how we create all these different products. The core and the most important, which I call the extension of our technology, is really all the blocks. That's the travel block, which is relatively small. Then we go to the infinity block, and then to the grand block and super block, which are much bigger. And then we have this quantum block, which that's very important to not call all of our blocks quantum blocks, because the quantum block is actually the weakest device we have, and it's more for frequency copying. It also has all these other great benefits, but it's not very strong, and most people look for even more energy at home, for example. So that's the blocks, right? And where to start? I see a lot of people when they're very tuned in, or when they can do kinesiology testing, or they just intuitively feel something, they go for the blocks usually right away, because they know they need it, they want it, and it will have a benefit for them. quite a significant one. Everyone else that's not so tuned in and they maybe not so certain, what to do, I think the all-rounder product is the Heal 360 capsule. We also have this in the petite version, so it's the bigger version and the petite version. The petite version was designed for women and for kids to not be too heavy on the neck, but it actually looks really great on men too. Now, if you're a really strong athlete, you go for the bigger version probably. That's the all-rounder product. That's how you can feel first. What does it do to you? What does it do to your energy levels and all of that? And it's quite noticeable. You can test it also. And the price point is it's much lower than the blocks, for example.
So a family, couple of kids, adults, maybe a dog and a cat. What are you seeing? Because I see all the products being used in the average family in the world, and it's wild and awesome to see. Because I mean, I thought it seemed that the pace things were going, it would take forever for there to be an adoption like this. I mean, people think of Nikola Tesla, and all they know is the Tesla car they're driving, but they don't know that, the mantra was the future of medicine is frequency medicine. And it's always been something that people know exists, but they couldn't touch it or quantify it. How are you doing that? I mean, there are studies that you have done in so many different worlds, from human health, athletic performance, recovery, just EMF protection alone. I mean, so it's a subject we also talk about a lot. It is a thing that we don't see. Most people don't feel, but we know the adverse effects of it. And so this is also highlighting not really the dark side of it, but focusing on the solution to the fact that there's a problem here. And so a lot of times before, with other devices, things that people have used, they've done it mostly on faith, or maybe they see a little e-meter or something looking different, but it really didn't say what was happening. You're actually walking us through what's happening. So can you touch on some of that? Because not everybody's a fast adopter, and they're open to it, if they feel something, but the data speaks for itself.
Yes, indeed. That's one of those things, because our technology works on new principles that are not new, really, right? They're ancient principles, and very natural, but for most people, it feels new, right? Because you don't plug it into the wall. It's not battery operated. It's not digital. And we're so used to have something digital or something electric, right? So that's just something that always happens with new technology, where a lot of people at first, they can't comprehend how this could work. Therefore, they think, no, it doesn't work. And then there's a second thing, or barrier, I would say, for some people, or a lot of people, frankly, it's their worldview. They're so identified with their worldview and the common narrative of what they've been always told, that's what they identify with. And then if they need to, make this step and allow the thought that this can actually work and actually do what it does, then their whole worldview changes. And that's one of the most beautiful things that can happen to someone, to be honest, because then everything opens up and you start to see more clearly. And then real quantum leaps are possible for an individual. But some people just have some, inner barrier with that. So we don't ever convince anyone that our technology works. We put the data out there, and I take the time always, at conferences, for example, if someone is there that really wants to understand it and is really curious, they may be totally skeptical. I'll walk them through everything. I show them all the data points. I have them try it. We even invite them to participate in a study, for example, so that they can see it with their own eyes. Happy to do it. But if there's someone that's just close and they don't even want to know, I don't waste my time with that. And I think the adoption goes relatively quick at this point here, because humanity is at a point where we need it. And where automatically, because of the universal flow, that's how I observe it, it is just happening and it cannot be stopped. And what cannot be stopped is that us humans become more tuned in again, that we become a little less dense, more transparent, and that therefore we also connect with our real inner knowing and with our biofield. And we realize we're energy and frequency at core. And if we are energy and frequency at core, then of course we can help ourselves with energy and frequency. And then we don't just need matter to influence our health. And frankly, the real holistic healing is never just in the material, physically oriented, health. That's all great. It's all wonderful, but we need to take care of our biofield. And that's really how I see it. And I think that plays into our technology being rolled out all over the world at the moment. I mean, we've sold into over 80 countries by now. So that's quite a lot. Not that we're like a huge company yet, right? It's certainly happening not in the mass market, because the mass market is still like not there, but it's getting there.
Well, I mean, I think we're on the edge of a tipping point because, in the BioStacking Summit here, I've had the opportunity to interview some real big influencers in the biohacking space, biostacking space, holistic medicine, functional medicine, frequency medicine. And I'm just got a big smile on my face. I'm talking to somebody and I'm like, is that a Heal 360 around your neck? They're like, oh yeah, I love it. It's great. I'm telling everybody about it. And it's like, wow. Because there's different types of people. There's some that are, we call us the airy fairy practitioners. We're open to everything, willing to really look at everything. And then there's others that are, your traditional people are unconsciously down on what they're not up on, let's say, so they're like, the default is the arms are crossed. I don't know. It looks weird. Show me, and I'm constantly impressed at how many people that I would expect to be in that category, but how are fast to adopt what's going on here. And the stories are all different. And maybe you can kind of share some of these experiences. I mean, we do fun things in the office just so somebody can have an experience. So like with a block like this, we'll have somebody just sit there and maybe they put one hand in there for like 2 minutes. Like we'll have them like feel their hands or squeeze a little, like a squeeze ball, and they'll put their hand in one hand, the other one's not, for 2 minutes. And then they can pull it out and it's like it's somebody else's hand. Like it's like connected, like it's vibrating, like it's not stiff, like it doesn't hurt. Like all these things are happening. So for people that just need to feel something, it's pretty awesome. Even down to I'm addicted, so I'm using my coaster. I put this every time I drink, my cup of coffee's going on it, or it's going in there. I mean, I got to be honest with you. Like we've talked about challenges with pets and dogs, and I have a dog that we call the Lemon because no matter what, she's always got something going on with her. But with some tips that you gave us based on some experience. And really, we put the dog bowls in the blocks before we feed the dog. It's like night and day. It's just the whole. I mean, it sounds crazy to someone who's been outside looking in, or not even looking in, and now somebody showed them something, and they're like, "Come on." So, what kind of things are you seeing, just for the audience that are watching right now? They're like, "I think I get what you're saying," but it's like, almost like what can't be affected or influenced because we've together worked with athletes, pets, really health challenged people, people that are looking to really change an outcome to a stuck pattern. So I just threw a lot at you. Wherever you want to take it, go for it.
Yes. Okay. So what we see and what we claim and what I talk about is what we can back up with placebo-controlled research that's been done quite extensively all over the world. So before I get there though, I want to tell people these products are super simple to use. And I think that's an important factor. Like you don't need to be a world-class practitioner or an expert in quantum technology to use them. As a matter of fact, every 5 or 6-year-old can use these products because they're simple to use. It takes some time until you understand what all you can do with it. that's kind of like a fun journey actually to learn that. But there's really no expertise or knowledge required, no training in order to start using it and benefiting from it. Now, we see significant improvements in the blood, as has been shown in multiple randomized blinded studies in the US by Dr. Beverly Rubik, in Europe by the BESA Institute, showing significant improvements on the red blood cells. So even up to a complete reversal of stage 2 of blood clotting within 10 minutes. The white blood cell activity and motility gets increased, parasitic load decreases, and then several other things improve as well. So the whole environment in the blood seems to really improve, and that happens very fast. So we're talking minutes, and then we've shown in longer term studies as well that obviously over the long term, it has even better and more sustainable even effects on the blood. So that's that cellular function. The Dr. Robert Schief, who's one of the experts in the US in regards to ATP production and wound healing of human cells, he's at the University of Tulsa, and he's been doing this for decades, that he looks at human cells and how you can influence them. And it's interesting, that happened with Dr. Rubik too, and now I'm telling the story with Dr. Robert Schief. Both of them thought our technology couldn't work, because how could something work that you're not ingesting or you're not giving a shot or something, right? You're not physically influencing something. Now they all now know it works, because they proved themselves wrong in their own studies that they led. And Dr. Robert Schief is now telling his students about it. So that's how far it has come. Coming back to what he actually showed, in 3 randomized double-blind studies, he showed an increase in ATP production in human cells of 20 to 29%, which is quite massive. Dave Asprey wrote a whole book about ATP production, and he told me this is the best he's ever seen, and it's completely non-invasive, which is a medical breakthrough on its own. Just with the press of a button, you can just do that. And by the way, you can get these lifts in addition to what else you're doing. So it's not that you have to do this or that. No, you can use this in addition to what you're doing. If you take your H2 blast, for example, awesome. Keep taking all of that. And I love it, by the way. I take it every day. I soon need to, buy a lot more so that I don't run out. My Europe trip is until September 22nd, and I'm like, oh, what am I going to do? But anyway, but then you use the quantum tech on top of it, and you get even more lift. Then he went from studying the ATP production to wound healing of human cells. Let's call it cell recovery. And he ran 5 studies that were also randomized and double-blind, each of them statistically significant, showing a 46 to 100% acceleration in wound healing of these human cells. And in the control group, there's nothing, right? It was 46 to 100% better than the control groups, right? So this is massive. It's really significant. Moving on from blood to cellular function now to the nervous system, right? HRV studies. There were multiple HRV studies that showed significant effects, so you can expect positive changes there. We had a study done in the US by Reputable Health with 100 women that looked in a completely different way. They looked at fertility, actually, but they had various biomarkers that they looked at, including even measuring anxiety levels, fear levels, depression levels, which all went down significantly. Sleep improved, resting heart rate improved. So all these things improved with these 100 women. So that was quite significant. And then, I really love to talk about the brain, because the recent research has been about the brain, and there are multiple studies still ongoing, but we already have so much data. And we know for a fact that we can, with our technology, even neutralize the negative effects of 5G and even the strongest iPhones on the market and other mobile phones of the latest generation, even when they're put right next to your ear. And it also has been shown to decrease the gamma and the beta activity by around about 80%, which is quite significant. And the alpha activity in the limbic system, which we want to increase because that's our calm state, that's our balance. We were able to increase by 13x, and it's very important. So we didn't use, or the Institute didn't use, just some random EEG device where you can see maybe some nice benefits on the surface, but you actually don't see what's going on in the limbic system, for example. So this was an EEG device of the latest generation, 256 channels. It's the most advanced out there. It can literally look at your brain like an MRT. So with that device, they can always show these significant benefits, which is another medical breakthrough. So we're coming to a point where we can say, wow, energy is real. We are energy, and we need to acknowledge that. And there are possibilities that we didn't have before. Now at least we have the data, right? So you guys knew all of this is somehow possible, right? But now we have the data to back it up.
Well, you are moving at the speed of frequency, which is limitless. And, I think one of the things I want to share with everybody watching right now is, when you start out in some endeavor and you have something great, there's that initial resistance, which you talked about. Where's your research? Where's your research? And a lot of times people say that because they don't want to take a look. They don't want to deep dive. They don't want to be part of the investigation. And it falls upon us to create something, to do something with that. But the real tipping point and the really I'm here now is when doctors, researchers, universities are contacting you asking if they can research your technology. And I know that you and I have had conversations about that. I mean, I got chills when I heard you talking about that, and I heard someone else talking about that. And that is awesome. That is like a deep breath that you can take after the time, energy, money, and focus that it's taken to get it here. So as we see that happening, where are we now, and what do we have to look forward to? What kind of hints can you give us? I don't know if you want to throw a little bit about the quantum upgrade, which is a whole nother interview that we could maybe do a different time just on that. Anything you want to share about where we're at so far at this recording with Leela, and where's it going?
Yep. So you can expect even a lot more research. People have told me and others in the company, hey, when asked, why do you keep doing all of the research? You have so much data. It's just absolutely incredible. You could just stop investing in research and just let it ride and let it run. But for us, we feel we're somewhat pioneers in the space, and we just love it. It's really something that comes from the heart, and we want to help, and we know that there's so much more that can be discovered. And so it's amazing, right? So when we hear about, of course, our products are not intended to diagnose, treat, or prevent any disease or health condition. That out of the way. If there's something where people suffer from cognitive issues, from other issues, there's just so much. There are so many modern stressors that we're exposed to. We see the whole society just getting sicker and sicker and sicker. And if we can help, that's just something that's just wonderful. And we need research for that in order to show that and to prove it, and also to give guidance. And that's also why we went into the pet research, right? So we have so much human data, but we had, a study with 30 dogs, also randomized double-blind with control groups with absolutely significant effects. So, that's what I can say about that. And there's more to come on the pet side. On the athlete side, we have world-class athletes already using the tech. More world-class athletes will be using the tech. There will be research with these world-class athletes. And I think, you mentioned it. We have about 7 studies ongoing at the moment, even more in regards to the mitochondria, more in regards to the brain. And there are a couple new products also coming out. I think we're very close to a new round travel block that will launch. Yeah, so there are always some exciting new things that happen. And I don't know, with the quantum upgrade, we can certainly get into it, but I don't know if we have the time. You tell me. Probably not.
Maybe this. Why don't we're going to leave them hanging on this section. And maybe we'll mention it when we do your interview as a main speaker in the BioStacking Summit 4.0. But if you can you describe in a minute or two what it is and that it exists, and where you would invite people to who are really all in on Leela to go look at it?
Yep. And everyone listening, so if your imagination is very limited, then this is not for you. Then you just need to wait another year probably, or you need to participate in a study to wait until your mind is blown by what you will see, because this works like clockwork, like a Swiss clock. It's a quantum upgrade is a system that we created and we launched it in 2022, which works with quantum entanglement. So you don't even need a physical device with you in order to have your customized quantum field around you. And the fun part is, and the most important one, is that you as the user, you have 100% control over it. So with your phone or with your laptop, you can change the settings at any time. You can pause it at any time, which most people don't do, but at least you could. You can increase energy levels. You can decrease energy levels. You can book in specific frequencies. So that's this cutting edge product or system for athletes, for example, because you can't wear a block when you play a tennis match or you have, I don't know, a boxing world championship fight, but you can have your quantum field around you, and then you can set it on a performance frequency. For example, for recovery, you can choose a recovery frequency. If you want to lose weight, you use the weight management frequencies. There's so much even to help you with resting periods. So that's how that works, and it's hard to understand for people, but at least know this, everyone. In 2022, the Nobel Prize for Physics was awarded for work on quantum entanglement. And while I'm not the biggest fan of Nobel Prizes and all of that, and I don't know if there's so much substance there, it's at least not a new topic, right? Or maybe it's somewhat new, but it's not that new. What's really new is that everyone can now experience it, and you can even test it for free.
Well, I think it's pretty amazing, and it's one of those things that I think people can get their head around once they realize that everything they do every day is equally as wild, and they don't question it. The fact that you could be in Germany and I'm here in Costa Mesa, California, and we are talking with crystal clear clarity, and other people are watching this. I mean, we're on Riverside recording this. There are millions of people probably on Riverside right now, but how can I just get to you? You get to me, we connect, and the communication is delivered and received and intertangled and quantumly tangled. We couldn't survive right now. You try losing your phone for 3 minutes and not freaking out. I mean, it's so part of our life to just communicate, and there's no wires, there's no cords, there's just what's been put together that maybe would be a satellite that people really don't even know how it works, but it doesn't stop them from using it because they get the desired result. And like you said, I think people are just awakening to that. They know they're using it in their phone. If it works with my phone, why can't it work with my health? Why can't it work with my performance? Why can't it work with my family? Why can't it work with my friends? Why can't it work with my cat or my business? Which is a whole other conversation for another time. So, Philipp, just outstanding. So excited. We're so excited about being, we're users and we're fans at the same time, and we're doing our part. BioStacking, Cohn Health Institute, Cohn Nutrition, all of it to really kind of share this, because I think it's uplifting all of us. I mean, just even in our clinic, having people have a different experience. I know our good friend, Dr. Freeman, has been working with the patients, and he's like, I put their supplements in the block. and they don't need to take as many supplements. The patients are thrilled about that. They're thrilled about it. And the effectiveness seems to be amplified. And it's real wild. We're playing with different ways to measure it on our end to help, add value or add clinical data, or at least, measured data that we see and the outcome with different things. So we're excited about it. I know we're going to be talking to you on and on throughout this whole process and the growth of Leela. And I'm sure like a year or two now, we'll be looking back even at this time and go, yeah, I can't believe that we were getting so much done with this technology then, and it's at light speed now. So we appreciate everything you're doing, and thanks for being with us.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.